something, sir?
Yes, but just in police department, Nathan Douglas, people got shot.
You need an ambulance?
Yeah.
There's been 3 shots fired in the last 2 or 3 minutes. Just caution, the parties are armed. He is very dangerous, dispatch. He's an imperial wizard, about the point of a psycho.
3 suspects apprehended.
April 19th, 1980, city of Chattanooga, Tennessee. 3 Klansmen drove down East 9th Street and emptied 2 shotguns at 4 elderly black women standing on a street corner and a 5th black woman a few blocks away.
Viola Ellison, Leela Evans, Opal Jackson, and Katherine Johnson were shot. Fanny Crumsey was injured from flying glass. All survived the attack, but their battle had just begun.
To add insult to injury, the criminal justice system would soon fail them and let the Klansmen off the hook. Even though these 5 black courageous women were denied justice in the criminal courts, they took it upon themselves with their legal team to bring a civil action to say that won't be the end of the story.
Okay, we're ready to roll? All right, let's see what we got. Wow. So these are the case files. I haven't seen these files since 1982, and this is in my handwriting. This is a police report dated April 19 at 20:45 hours. See the trestle down there? They set the cross down there. Then they went around to, I guess it's 10th Street back here, and they drove around because they knew there were social clubs. As you can see on the facade of that building, that was the whole note. That was a social club, and there were a couple other clubs right near it. And the women were walking from the clubs, and they're walking here. One of them saw the car come down, and what she described, Ms. Jackson describes it, as this ball of flame coming at her. That's what she saw. And literally, they came, this is how close they were when they were shot.
All of those ladies was her best friends, and they had been for years.
She said they had just came out from drinking and had them a good time, and they were just standing there. And next thing you know, a car just was flying down the street. And out of nowhere, she heard one of the other ladies say, "Get down." And that's when they start hearing the shots.
The Klansmen shot the ladies down there, drove up, and Mrs. Crumsey was bent over tending to her garden right in this area. And the Klansmen came through, stopped, and emptied their shotguns again.
Okay, what is your name? Fanny Crumsey. Okay, Miss Crumsey, I'll send you a card. Yes, ma'am.
My 2 grandchildren were sitting on the steps. They were lulled in when them Klansmen come and shot. And that scared me to death. I thought they had shot my child, and I thought they had shot me.
I felt she protected me everywhere, anywhere I went. But when this happened, I guess reality set in.
Because she was bent over, glass hit her in the face. So the bullets never hit her. But if you look on the wall, the pellet marks on the facade of the building are about the height of my head. So had she been standing when those Klansmen came by, they would have taken her head off. Because look at how many holes there are in that wall.
I was downstairs in the kitchen, and that's when I heard boom, boom. And when I came out, we looking around like, what? They said they done went up the street.
Later on, we found out it was the Klansmen, the KKK.
Racism and bigotry, far from being on the decline, are actually on the rise.
So this Klan violence and Klan organizing had started spreading all over the country during the late 70s, early 80s. Generally, the Klan emerges like this in times of economic uncertainty or times when they perceive that blacks are getting too much. They're advancing at their expense. So you had like several Klan groups operating in Chattanooga, burning crosses, threatening people, and eventually engaging in the most heinous act of violence, shooting in cold blood 5 elderly women who were doing nothing but trying to get home on a Saturday night.
This was an all-black area, and no black people dared to go out of their area. We thought this was our safe haven. I knew all this was going on, but I never thought it would happen in our little area here, and especially not with my mom.
The Klansmen were arrested immediately and prosecuted.
William Church is a self-imposed wizard of the Justice Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. But Deputy Police Chief Tom Kennedy said that the shootings of Saturday night should not be tied directly to the Klan, but instead were the works of an individual.
They've been arrested and charged. They'll have their day in court.
She said the streets during the court process, you could barely get in there. Said they had police everywhere. She was scared to just even go to court.
Marshal Thrash admitted he had shot it, but he didn't intend to hurt anybody. Okay, you empty 2 shotguns into the bodies of 5 black women, and you tell me you didn't intend to hurt anybody? You're out of your mind. He gets a 9-month sentence. The head of the Klan, Bill Church, and his little assistant, Larry Payne, they were acquitted of all charges. All charges. I mean, Church is driving the car while Marshal Thrash is shooting people. And that's not aiding and abetting the assault? I mean, come on, it's crazy talk.
We want justice. It was a cry heard often as Chattanooga fire and police units responded to a rapid succession of firebombing, looting, and vandalism calls throughout the night.
Chattanooga, Tennessee has been placed under a dusk to dawn curfew.
The city has been rocked for 3 nights with gunfire, looting, and firebombing.
8 policemen were wounded. No one was hurt seriously.
The trouble followed a verdict by an all-white jury in the trial of 3 Ku Klux Klansmen accused of shooting 4 black women.
The women who were shot expressed the dismay of many blacks.
And I don't like it, I don't like it, I don't like it.
The victim says she considers the black retaliation justified.
So, I think it's justified because, it wasn't justified when them people rolled down the street and shot us. It had been 3 black men shot down 3 white women. They would never rush the jailhouse because they would have been hung before they got there.
To say it was a hostile environment is putting it mildly. Jesse Jackson had to fly down there to kind of calm things down.
Reverend Jesse Jackson says he has been monitoring the trial of the 3 Ku Klux Klan members since its beginning and was very disappointed with the jury's verdict.
It is clear to me that unlike 1880, blacks in 1980 are not going to give the Klan a free ride.
He says justice is needed, but violence would only be destructive to all parties involved.
It was after all that we came in and sued.
I'm just standing here reminiscing. All of these thoughts are coming flooding back. You know, the memories of 40 years, right? I was what you would refer to as the briefcase carrier. That's what they would call it. Like I was the junior person on the team and the only female member of the team. Yeah, this case touched us. It touched us as African Americans because we knew that this sort of violence was going on, and even worse. These women were fortunate that they lived through this, and they could have sat back and you know, go back into their life and ignore this, but no, they decided to do something about it, which took courage.
CCR was the legal arm of the National Anti-Klan Network, which is a group of activists and organizers from across the country who had developed an organizing strategy to combat the Klan. And we waited for the right case to come along. And then Chattanooga happened. George Key, who was the head of the NAACP in Chattanooga, contacted us and said, I'd like to talk with you all about maybe bringing a legal action here. So we went to Chattanooga, met with Mr. Key, and he took us to meet the women.
And perhaps one of the most historically brave moments in our city's history, they found a way to go after the Klan civilly, not criminally, but civilly.
When I met the ladies for the first time, and I do this for every civil rights case, I always tell the client, we have two choices. One choice, we can do this case just for you, to get your damages, to compensate you for what happened. Or we can do that, and we can make this a test case to see if we can figure out ways to stop Klan violence. And the women to a person said, I want both. And the risks they took to their lives, to their futures, to their family, by signing on to this thing was tremendous. Because the Klan was still around. Bill Church was still roaming around and violence was still possible. But they said, no, we're not gonna, no. They wanted justice for what had happened to them.
They called you on the phone, what they say? When you call me on the phone, we going to kill you. They tell you not to go through with the lawsuit? Yes, if you do, we going to kill you and all that. I was still scared.
We had a hard time going to different meetings and things, trying to make them do right about the Klansmen.
We saw the case as a precedent for how you could combat racially motivated violence. Suing private parties for racially motivated violence, that's unusual. That doesn't happen that often because there aren't that many federal laws that deal with that. We found a statute called the Ku Klux Klan Act. It'd been buried. And that statute created a right to file a lawsuit in federal court by the victims of Klan violence.
I knew that our case in certain respects was extremely important and landmark because people like Payne and Church, they would get away with something like that. They would get away with it in the criminal setting. And I know that the act was passed way back when just to prevent that specific thing from happening.
This is the ambulance record for Katherine Johnson. She sustained, I think, over 100 shotgun pellets to her legs. They use birdshot as opposed to buckshot. The bigger the pellet, the bigger the hole. So if you're shooting deer, you use buckshot because it's going to really take the deer down. If you're shooting birds, then you use birdshot because it's a smaller pellet and won't make as big a hole. They use birdshot. Why birdshot? Birdshot, once it enters you, it can't be removed. It's too small. So eventually what happens with birdshot is that the pellet will just push its way out through your skin, and that's extremely painful. So this woman had over 100 of these that were pushing their way through her skin. Some of them were still in her body when we tried the case. There was certainly a need to prevent these terrorists from continuing to engage in these types of activities.
And then the jury deliberated and came back with the verdict.
There was no court of law that they had precedent to turn to. And I can only imagine how many times they would have been told by legal scholars that you don't have a chance.
Remember, the Klan had won the criminal trial, so we didn't know what to expect or what was going to happen. I'll never forget the day that verdict
came out. It's very formal. The clerk gives the note to the judge. He opens the note. You could hear a pin drop, it was so quiet.
With respect to William Church, we find him liable for damages. With respect to Justice KKK, liable. Larry Payne, liable. Marshall Thrash, liable. I'm like, oh my God. We actually won? We were hugging each other. The lawyers were beaming. The women were crying. Relief for us and the women.
And the judge issued the injunction. We were happier. It was precedent setting.
I first learned about the shooting that took place in 1980 within the last 2 years. So many of us in the city were unaware of this story.
Lee Jackson and her friends were shot while waiting for a taxi nearly 40 years ago.
She's the only victim still alive.
The 86-year-old still remembers bullets flying at her.
We looked up and seen a ball of fire, just like a broad daylight.
Even though my grandma, she's here, but she hasn't recovered. Back then, they wouldn't afforded a lot of pain meds. They wouldn't giving a lot to treat, you know, their ailments. And they didn't have nobody to help them get through that. They just was out of the hospital and thrown back into the street.
All of you only got one $500 check. One $500 out of Ku Klux Klan.
They were awarded, but it's forced them getting the money. And I thought she said maybe $50. They sent her $50 and
she said they sent her $500.
500?
Yes.
Okay.
So damages are hard to come by in these cases.
You said one woman has already died?
Yeah. Her name is Catherine Johnson. That's her name.
We didn't know that what she had done for stepping forward and going against the Klan the way she did would ever lead to what is going on today.
A federal law used to prosecute members of the Ku Klux Klan in Chattanooga for a 1980 drive-by shooting is being used again.
The case in Chattanooga became an excellent precedent model. If you establish that precedent, other attorneys pay attention and they can see, here's another tool in our toolbox that we can use to try to achieve justice. And so they go out and they use it, they develop their cases, and that's what happened.
Lawyers around the country saw what was possible and took this strategy to their own fights in Mississippi, Virginia, and everywhere racists dared to commit acts of racially motivated violence. Precedent set by the Chattanooga Five.
The country's oldest group of Ku Klux Klansmen is threatened with financial ruin.
We know that the Ku Klux Klan has evolved and now they're using different names to mask this white supremacy or this notions of superiority over people of different ethnicities. Thank God to these 5 black women for giving us a precedent, an example, a trail that they've blazed for future civil rights litigants to be able to follow.
In Charlottesville, Virginia, jury selection is now underway in a civil trial against the organizers of the Unite the Right rally.
The civil lawsuit cites an 1871 law known as the Ku Klux Klan Act.
For what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia, what happened on January 6, 2021.
The Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers are accused of violating the 1871 Ku Klux Klan Act.
What happened in Buffalo, New York at the Tops supermarket where young white supremacists went and shot 10 innocent black people. We cite back to the Civil Rights Act of 1871.
The alleged shooter wearing full body armor and tactical gear, targeting people of color.
What does justice look like for them?
It looks like holding not only this individual who committed this awful act of hate accountable, but also holding those who curate the hate, those who are at the root of the hate, holding them accountable as accomplices. We must remember America is a capitalistic society. And if there's anything that America understands, it is money. And so what we have to endeavor to do is to make it financially unsustainable for anybody to kill black people unjustly. We have to sue them in civil court, and we have to hold them accountable, even if that means bankrupting them all, until they know there will be some consequences to their actions.
There was a conspiracy to commit racially motivated violence.
One of the things that we always said about our case that we brought under the KKK Act is we're so glad that it's there, but we're really sorry that it has to be relied upon. It's a statute that really should be a relic of our past and unfortunately is very much a reality of our present.
We can get really depressed right around now because of what happened on January 6th and what's happening now. And I said, look, we've been in a struggle in this country ever since Jamestown. I'm very realistic. I don't think we're going to change the world or the country by a judicial decision, but I believe in incremental change. And every case that you win, if it's connected to the people and the people can use it, is one step along the freedom journey. So these cases are an effort to kind of, what King talked about. He says the arc of history bends towards justice. Well, it's not like some mystical force is up there pulling the universe down. We've got to do that. We've got to pull that arc. And if we don't do the work, there'll be no justice for anyone.
These incredible new murals will revitalize 10th Street just in time for Juneteenth, which we're proud to say.
There you go. See, you look the same. Look how beautiful you are. Yeah, I see. I didn't know we was upside the wall here. Yeah. No, here you go, Mom. There you go. Yeah, look at that. Nice thing. Yeah, it is.
These 5 black women were extraordinary. They have given us legal precedent for which to go fight to make a better world for all of our children. And we all, as a society, are the better for their willingness to take a stand. They provided hope for America, that justice may be delayed, but it will not be denied as long as we're willing to fight for it.